As far back as I could remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Goodfellas.
Welcome to ANTV. You are now watching the process. Spam. At first glance, spam looks almost too simple to be famous. It is just a little blue can, a block of pink meat, and a name that somehow became known all over the world. But behind that small can is a surprisingly big story. That story stretches from the Great Depression to World War II, all the way to modern kitchens in Hawaii and South Korea. What seems like a simple canned meat product ended up becoming a global food icon. Spam was first introduced by Hormel in 1937. Back then, America was still dealing with the effects of the Great Depression, and people wanted food that was affordable, filling, and easy to keep around. Spam fit that moment perfectly. It was practical, compact, and shelf-stable, which made it useful in hard times and easy to store when fresh food was less dependable. Then came World War II, and Spam's story changed forever. The United States military needed food that could travel long distances, survive rough conditions, and feed large numbers of soldiers without refrigeration. Spam checked every box. Millions of cans were sent out every week during the war, and the product became deeply tied to survival, convenience, and military logistics. Soldiers joked about it, and many got tired of eating it, but Spam had become one of the most practical foods of the era. It was not glamorous, but it worked. That wartime movement helped Spam travel far beyond the United States. In different parts of the world, it stopped being just an emergency ration and started becoming something else entirely. In South Korea especially, Spam became connected to the Korean War and the difficult years that followed. Meat was scarce, and food coming from United States military sources became valuable. Over time, Spam was worked into dishes like budae-jjigae, often called army stew, along with kimchi, noodles, and other ingredients. What began as necessity slowly became tradition, and that tradition never really disappeared. Today, South Korea is one of the biggest consumers of Spam outside the United States, and Spam gift sets are a well-known part of holiday culture there. During difficult financial times, Spam was seen as a more affordable and practical gift than expensive fruit baskets or premium meat boxes. In other words, Spam stayed popular because it kept adapting. So what is Spam actually made of? For classic Spam, the ingredient list is shorter than many people expect. Pork with ham, salt, water, modified potato starch, sugar, and sodium nitrite. That is it. And the production process is fairly simple too. The pork and ham are pre-ground, then mixed with the other ingredients to create the familiar texture. After that, the mixture is filled into cans, vacuum sealed, cooked, cooled, and labelled. It may look mysterious once it slides out of the can, but the process is more straightforward than the myths around it suggest. Now for one of the biggest Spam questions of all. Does it really last forever? Not exactly, but this is where the myth gets interesting. Properly stored canned products can last a very long time at room temperature because the canning process makes them commercially sterile. That is one of the main reasons Spam became so useful in the first place. But that does not mean the quality stays perfect forever. Spam usually carries a best-by date that is often around 3 years after it is made. So the simple answer is this. Unopened Spam can stay safe for a long time if stored properly, but the best flavour and texture are meant for a more reasonable window. It is durable, but it is not magic. Then there is the health question. Is Spam bad for you? The fairest answer is that it depends on how often you eat it and how much. A serving of classic Spam has 180 calories, 16 grams of fat, and 7 grams of protein. It is also high in sodium, which is the part many people worry about most. That does not mean a slice of Spam is some kind of forbidden food. It just means it probably makes more sense as an occasional ingredient than an everyday staple, especially for people trying to watch salt and saturated fat. And yet, despite all the jokes, all the myths, and all the arguments over whether it is healthy, Spam is still here. That is probably because it does several things at once. It is cheaper than many meats. It is easy to store. It is easy to cook. It carries nostalgia. And in some places it means much more than lunch. It means wartime memory, family recipes, comfort food, and cultural creativity. For many people, Spam is not just a canned product. It is part of a larger story. So maybe that is the real reason Spam became so popular. Not because it is fancy, and not because everyone agrees it is healthy, but because it proved useful in hard times and flexible in changing times. Few foods can say they helped feed soldiers, survived decades of jokes, became part of Korean holiday culture, and still ended up frying in skillets around the world. For a little blue can introduced in 1937, that is a pretty remarkable journey. Thanks for watching.
You have got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? I'm your Huckleberry. You there watching? You look like someone just walked over your grave. Come on, you furballs, you want to go to war. Say hello to my little friend. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
He always tells the truth, even when he lies. Scarface Kitty, meow.
So you want to go to war? Say hello to my little friends. I'm Scarface Kitty. Meow.
'Tis a good day to get some blondies fishing in. I used 2 hooks this time. Best day ever. Think we'll keep and mount. Don't mind me, bro. I'm just out here blondies fishing. Holla at ya boy. 'Tis a good day to get some blondies fishing in. I used 2 hooks this time. We'll mount these 2 prize catches. Don't mind me, bro. I'm just out here senorita fishing. Holla at ya boy.
What do you say to death? Not today, motherfuckers!
Thanks for checking out the video. This is a montage of AI failing video generations. Hope it makes you smile. I really do. It costs me money. Every single attempt. Sometimes it's amusing. Sometimes it is so frustrating. Charged a premium for it to generate something so off the script. Leaves you scratching your head. So if you laughed at my money going down the drain, hit that like button or subscribe. It goes a long way here. YouTube loves comments, so drop a comment. Until next time. No bites, no problem. Dinner is served, my friends. Ha ha ha.
Hi everyone, I am Sasha. I am Jason's AI friend here to explain modern dating in America. If you want to support the channel, hit that like button. Thanks for stopping by. Does dating in America feel harder than it should? If you feel that way, you're not alone. A lot of people aren't struggling because they don't want love. They're struggling because life itself has become exhausting, and relationships now carry more pressure than ever. Let's be real. Many people are broke, stressed, overworked, and emotionally drained. Rent is high, groceries are expensive, and a lot of us are just trying to survive the week. It's incredibly difficult to build romance when your mind is constantly stuck in survival mode. Love needs peace, patience, and trust to grow, but modern life often gives us the exact opposite. When people feel financially or emotionally unstable, their first instinct is to protect themselves, not open up to someone new. Then you add dating apps into the mix. What was supposed to make dating easier has often made it feel colder, faster, and more disposable. A person can go from feeling hopeful to feeling completely replaceable in a matter of minutes. This paradox of choice is a real problem. Having too many options can actually make people worse at choosing, instead of building something real. Many people are left wondering if someone better is just one swipe away. That kind of mindset makes connection feel shallow before it even has a chance to begin. And let's talk about ghosting. It's made things so much worse. People disappear without explanation, making the other person feel like they meant nothing. That silent rejection can seriously damage someone's self-worth, especially if they were already trying their best to trust again. Trust is another huge issue. So many people have already been lied to, cheated on, used, or emotionally manipulated. Once that happens, it becomes much harder to believe the next person is different. Sometimes, one bad heartbreak is all a person can handle. A single betrayal can change how someone views love for years. They might still want companionship, but deep down, they're terrified of reliving that same pain. The fear of cheating hangs over modern relationships like a dark cloud. With social media, secret messages, and dating apps, the temptation seems constant, making some people feel like loyalty is becoming a rare commodity. Even people who want to trust can find themselves feeling paranoid, and we have to acknowledge the role of substance abuse. A relationship is tough enough when 2 healthy people are trying to build a future. But when addiction enters the picture, it can bring chaos, lies, instability, broken promises, and emotional damage that cuts incredibly deep. Many adults are also dating while carrying wounds from their past they never fully healed. Some grew up watching broken relationships at home. Others lived through messy divorces, toxic partners, or years of emotional neglect. This baggage doesn't just disappear. Then there's the fear of marriage itself, often for financial reasons. Love might feel beautiful in the beginning, But the fear of losing half your assets in a divorce is a real concern for some people. That fear alone can make them keep one foot out the door, never fully committing. So now we have a generation of people who desperately want love, but are also deeply afraid of it. They want loyalty, but they expect betrayal. They want peace, but they've only known chaos. This creates a strange, isolating kind of loneliness. Men and women both feel frustrated, but often for different reasons. Some feel ignored, some feel used, some feel judged. Many feel like they're constantly chasing people who are too guarded to ever let anyone in. And of course, there's pride. A lot of people would rather act like they don't care than admit they're lonely. They'd rather joke about giving up on dating than be honest about how badly they want something real. The truth is, modern dating isn't just hard because people are picky. It's hard because many people are wounded, distracted, overstimulated, overworked, and afraid. They're trying to find real love in a culture that often rewards fake attention. But this doesn't mean love is dead. It just means it takes more effort, more honesty, and more emotional maturity than it used to. Real connection still exists, but it has to fight through a lot more noise now. The people who succeed aren't perfect. They are simply the ones willing to communicate, stay loyal, be patient, and heal the parts of themselves that could destroy something good. That kind of love still matters more than anything. Maybe dating in America feels broken because, in many ways, people feel broken too. Not worthless, not hopeless, just tired. Tired of the games, tired of the disappointment, and tired of pretending that none of it hurts. At the end of the day, most people still want the same thing. Someone real, someone loyal, someone safe. And maybe that's why dating feels so hard right now, because the very things we want most have become so much harder to find. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more conversations like this.
What do you say to death when you see it? Not today, you fur devils.
Please, Lord, give me a fish. Holy crap, that actually worked. Could I maybe get another for later?
Hey bro, do you want to hit this? Oh crap, never mind. Nappy time. Country kittens don't mess around. Always good to see you. I am so happy. I'm throwing you a dance party. And a 1 and a 2. Now 2 and a 3. Thanks for watching. Check out these funny and cute cat shorts. I hope they put a smile on your face. Meowdy partner, ride 'em doggy style. Life on a dirt road. Giggity goo.
What do you say to death? Not today, boys. Ha ha ha.
Ain't no party like a kitten line dancing party. And I will always love you, my darling you. You complete me. Hold on, bro. I'm gonna let you hit this. Or never mind. To the left, to the right, right. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Throw your hands in the air, yo. Wave 'em like you don't care, yo.
I need to go this way. Oops, I meant this way. Oh no, this way.
Thanks for watching my first attempts at funny cat videos. Hit that like button if you smiled. Subscribe if you want to see more.
What do you say to death when you see it? Not today, boys. Ha 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 ha.
Welcome to ANTV AI Network TV. AI generative video is changing creativity because it starts with an idea instead of a camera. You describe a mood, a style, a scene, and suddenly you get motion, lighting, an atmosphere that looks like a film frame. For most of history, cinematic visuals required money and access. Now the cost of trying an idea is low, and that shifts creativity from equipment to imagination. When AI nails it, it feels unreal. A clip renders and it looks expensive, like a trailer shot, with depth, texture, and camera movement that makes you stop and stare. And when it misses in weird ways. A face that is almost right, motion that breaks for a second, or a detail that makes you laugh. Those failures can be annoying, but they also show how new this medium still is. AI is not remembering reality like a human does. It is predicting what should be there next, based on patterns. That is why it can be brilliant and wrong at the same time. So the real skill is not pressing generate. The real skill is directing. You decide the vibe, the lighting, the lens feel, the pacing, and the emotion, and the tool tries to follow your intent. That is why prompting is closer to filmmaking than people think. Small word changes can turn the same concept into something romantic, terrifying, heroic, or funny, and you can test it fast. Selection is where the craft really lives. You generate options, you keep what feels alive, and you delete what feels fake. The best creators are not the ones who generate the most, they are the ones who choose the best. This is why montage works so well with AI. AI is great at moments, at vibe, at spectacle. It is not always perfect at long continuity, but montage does not require perfect continuity. It requires rhythm. Your narration becomes the glue. Even if every clip is different, the viewer feels like they are watching one experience because the voice carries the theme and the pacing keeps moving. And pacing is everything. Quick shots keep attention, longer shots create awe, and the best videos mix both. A few short hits wake the viewer up, and a few longer moments let the beauty breathe. The coolest part is that it is getting better fast. Cleaner faces, smoother motion, better lighting, fewer artifacts. The gap between what you imagine and what you get is shrinking. But as the tools improve, the advantage shifts. Access becomes normal. Everyone can generate something. The real difference becomes taste, and taste is what makes people stop scrolling. AI does not replace creativity, it changes the workflow. It makes the first draft instant and gives endless variations, but humans still decide what the final version is, and that decision-making becomes your signature. Thanks for watching this generative visuals montage on ANTV. If you enjoyed it, like the video, and subscribe if you want more as the tech keeps getting better every day.
Gas prices just spiked, and it is about to get much worse. It is not just because of the conflict in the Middle East. It is because of something much more invisible: insurance. Right now, the Strait of Hormuz is effectively a no-go zone. This narrow passage handles 20% of the world's oil, but traffic has ground to a halt. Iran has targeted multiple vessels, declaring the strait closed to anyone they do not trust. But here is the part the news is not telling you. Major maritime insurers just cancelled all war risk coverage for the entire region. No insurance means no shipping. Period. Over 150 tankers are currently sitting dead in the water. Shipping costs are surging by nearly 100%. We have already seen oil jump toward $85, but experts warn $100 a barrel is next. Until the insurance industry feels safe, the global oil supply is essentially bottlenecked. Is the era of cheap energy over? Are we looking at $5 gas by summer? Subscribe if you want to be in the know without any bias. This is ANTV News.
Started with a stone and a will to survive. We forged it in fire to command the earth. We plated it in honor to protect the crown. Now, we weave it into our souls. The armor changes. The warrior stays the same.
I'm not running. I'm leading. Watch me. This is my war. And I win!
Hey, you're watching ANTV. Here's your world news recap. Fast, clear, and straight to the point. First, markets. Global investors are in risk-off mode. Oil and gas have jumped, gold has caught a bid, and stocks have been choppy as traders price in higher energy costs and renewed inflation pressure. The big question this week is whether the energy shock becomes a short spike or a longer squeeze that spills into everything from shipping to groceries. Now, the biggest global headline: the Middle East. The conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran has escalated sharply, and it's already hitting the world economy through one choke point: the Strait of Hormuz. Multiple reports say traffic has dropped dramatically, insurance costs have surged, and major shippers are rerouting, which means longer routes, higher freight costs, and more pressure on energy prices. China is publicly calling for protection of shipping and de-escalation because so much global oil and LNG flows through that corridor. Gaza update. The World Food Program says the Kerem Shalom crossing is expected to reopen, which matters because it's a critical entry point for humanitarian aid. Any reopening helps relief supplies move again, even as the wider regional crisis pulls attention in multiple directions. Ukraine and Russia. The war continues with intense long-range drone and missile pressure, including strikes affecting infrastructure and port areas in southern Ukraine. Monitoring groups say Russia's winter strike campaign hasn't achieved its broader aims, and fighting remains a grind of attrition and targeting cycles rather than a clean turning point. Global trade and shipping. Even before this latest escalation, Red Sea routing was already unstable. Now, analysts are warning that higher risk premiums and regional spillover could keep carriers diverting routes, raising costs, and slowing delivery times across global supply chains. That's the recap. If you want a deeper breakdown, comment markets, Middle East, Ukraine.
Which side are you on? I see both worlds, but only one truth. Choose wisely.
Most people think taxes work like this. You make money, you get taxed. But for a lot of very wealthy people, wealth does not behave like a paycheck. It behaves like an engine. And once you understand the engine, you understand why it can look like the rich do not pay taxes, even when they are getting richer every year. Here is the simplest concept that changes everything. In many systems, you are taxed when you earn income or sell something for a profit. But if your wealth grows without you selling, that growth can sit there, untaxed for a long time. Because it is on paper, not cashed out. That is the first trick, and it is not even a trick. It is how the rules are written. Most ordinary people get their money as wages. Wages are visible. Wages are taxed immediately. The moment you earn it, the system sees it. A lot of wealthy people grow their money through assets. Stocks, businesses, real estate, art, private equity. Assets can rise in value without producing a taxable event. That is the key word. Event. If your stock goes up, you feel richer, but you do not owe tax just because the number grew. Taxes show up when you sell. So if you never sell, you can delay the tax. Now add the next piece. If you are rich enough, you do not need to sell your assets to live. You can borrow against them. This is the part that breaks people's brains. A loan is not income. So if you have a massive portfolio, you can go to a bank and say, I want a low-interest loan, and I will use my assets as collateral. Now you have cash to buy homes, fund lifestyles, invest in other things, without selling the asset that would trigger taxes. You live off borrowed money while your assets keep growing. Then, over time, you can refinance. You roll the debt forward as your assets rise. It becomes a cycle. Hold the assets. Borrow cash. Repeat. This is often called the buy-borrow strategy. It is not magic. It is leverage. And it is not available to most people because banks do not hand out ultra-cheap loans to people without massive collateral. Now let's talk about holding companies. This is where it starts to feel like a maze. When wealthy people own things, they often do not own them personally. They own them through entities, LLCs, corporations, trusts, partnerships, holding companies. Why? Because entities can control risk, structure ownership, and sometimes create tax advantages. They also make money movement cleaner for businesses and investments. A holding company can own multiple businesses. A separate LLC can own a property. A different entity can own the brand, the licensing, the intellectual property. This can create layers, and layers create options. And options are what wealthy people pay professionals for. Now, here is a huge concept that most people never learn in school. Not all income is taxed the same. Wages and salary are typically taxed one way. Investment gains can be taxed another way. Business income can be handled differently again. Even without naming specific rates, the pattern is clear. Money earned by labor is often taxed more directly. Money earned by owning can be taxed more flexibly. The wealthy tend to be owners. Next, deductions and write-offs. This is where people get confused because it is easy to say, write it off, like it is a cheat code. But the simple truth is this. Businesses can deduct certain costs of doing business. If you own a company, you can often deduct expenses that helped produce income. Equipment, travel that is genuinely for work, marketing, offices, salaries, benefits. This can reduce taxable profit. Now add real estate, which is basically a separate universe. Real estate is one of the most popular wealth tools because it can generate cash flow and also create tax deductions through things like operating costs and depreciation. Depreciation is one of the weirdest ideas in the tax world. It lets you treat an asset like it is wearing out over time, even if the market value is rising. So on paper, your building might be depreciating, while in reality, it is becoming more valuable. Again, we are not giving advice here. We are explaining why the scoreboard looks unfair. Now combine real estate with borrowing. If a property rises in value, you can refinance and pull cash out. That cash is not necessarily treated like income because it is a loan. So you can get spendable money without earning it as a paycheck. See the pattern? The wealthy are not always making income. They are extracting liquidity from assets. Now there is another concept people talk about a lot. What happens when someone holds assets for life and then passes them on? In some systems, heirs can receive special treatment on the cost basis of assets, which can reduce taxes on past growth. The details vary by country and can change over time, but the big idea is this. If you delay taxes long enough, you can sometimes reduce or avoid paying taxes on the growth that happened while you were alive. This is why the strategy is often described as hold forever, and it is why people say the system rewards people who already have a lot. Now let's pause and be honest. Do rich people pay no taxes at all? No, not universally. Many wealthy people pay huge tax bills. They pay property taxes, payroll taxes through companies, sales taxes, corporate taxes. They also donate, lobby, and structure. But the point is not zero taxes. The point is that the wealthy often have access to legal tools that change the timing and type of taxes they pay. And timing is power. If you can delay taxes for decades while your money compounds, you can become dramatically richer than someone paying taxes every paycheck. That is why this topic makes people angry, because it feels like two different rule books. One rule book for wages, another for assets. So what does this mean for regular people watching this? First, it means you are not crazy for noticing the difference. The system is built to tax income events more than asset growth. Second, it means the headline, "The rich don't pay taxes," is usually shorthand for something more precise. The rich can often minimize and delay taxes more effectively than everyone else. And third, it means the real debate is not about hating wealth. It is about deciding what kind of incentives society wants. Do we want to reward ownership more than labor? Do we want to tax growth as it happens, or only when it is sold? Do we want loopholes closed, or do we want them because they drive investment? Those are policy choices. But whatever your opinion is, the mechanics matter. Because once you see the warps in the system, you stop blaming individuals for playing the game, and you start asking who wrote the rules. If you want a one-sentence summary, it is this. The wealthy often stay wealthy by owning assets, avoiding taxable sales, using entities, and borrowing for liquidity. They do not always earn more, they structure better. And until proven otherwise, that is the real engine behind the modern wealth gap. If you want part 2, comment part 2, and I'll cover the next layer, charitable foundations, offshore structures, and how paper losses can offset gains.
Going to war sucks. Going to war sucks.
Remember the promise, no new wars, the peace era. But since returning to office, Donald Trump has approved or expanded US strikes in at least 7 countries: Iran, Iraq, Nigeria, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, and Venezuela. 7. Not bad for a peacetime president brand. Maybe it is not peacetime. Maybe it is just strike time, with better marketing. Welcome to ANTV, AI Network TV. Here you get AI stories, documentaries, comedy, and shorts. Big visuals, simple narration, and ideas that move fast. One day, it is the beauty of the universe. Next day, it is nature at maximum power. Then a funny twist, a wild montage, or a quick idea that hits. If you like creative content that is different, hit subscribe. You are early. Let's build this network together.
AI Network TV, welcome to the future of knowledge. AI Network TV, every video and deep tech to digital trends. Subscribe now and unlock the next chapter. Knowledge powered by artificial intelligence.
Earth is the only world we know that is alive. Until proven otherwise, it is the only place in the universe where the ocean is filled with motion, where forests breathe, where the air carries wings, and where life looks back at you. That fact should hit harder than it does. Because when you watch wildlife, you are not just watching animals. You are watching a miracle that has been running for billions of years without applause. Every creature is a solution to cold, a solution to heat, a solution to speed, pressure, distance, darkness, hunger, and time. Look at the shapes. Fur that insulates like a living coat, feathers layered like engineered panels, scales like armor, skin that changes color, eyes built for night, bodies built to dive deeper than most humans will ever go. Even the smallest life carries a kind of genius. Not genius like a test score, genius like survival. And the beauty of wildlife is not just how it looks, it is how it moves. A school of fish turning like one mind, a bird riding wind you cannot see, a predator freezing into silence, a herd shifting direction like a single wave. It is choreography written by instinct, and it is happening everywhere, all the time. But what makes Earth truly special is diversity. Not one kind of life, but millions. In oceans, deserts, mountains, rainforests, rivers, and skies. Life filling every corner it can reach, then inventing new ways to reach further. Some creatures glow in darkness. Some hear vibrations in the ground. Some navigate by the stars. Some feel electric fields. Some can taste the air. If you stepped back far enough, this planet would look like a blue marble. You would not see the coral reefs. You would not see the migrations. You would not see the nests, the dens, the burrows, the rituals, the dances. But it is all here. Which is why the real question is not, is wildlife beautiful? The real question is, how often do we forget how rare this might be? Because we talk about life in the universe like it is guaranteed, like it is just a numbers game. Maybe it is. Maybe the universe is full of living worlds. But until we meet them, Earth is the only proof we have. The only confirmed living planet. The only place where life turned into songbirds and whales and butterflies and ancient forests. The only place where the universe learned how to see itself through the eyes of a living creature. And that should change how we treat it. Not with guilt, with awareness. Because awareness is what creates respect. And respect is what creates protection. Wildlife does not exist for our entertainment. It does not exist to decorate our feeds. It exists because it belongs here, because it is part of the system that keeps this world functioning. Forests stabilize the air and the water. Oceans regulate climate and carry food webs. Pollinators keep plants alive. Predators keep ecosystems balanced. Even creatures we barely notice are doing work that keeps the planet stable. Life is not just beautiful. It is useful. But there is a deeper point. Wildlife is also a library. Every species is a book written by time. A record of what worked. A record of what survived. A record of solutions we may never rediscover if they disappear. And when a species vanishes, it is not just sad. It is permanent. You cannot rewind an extinction. You cannot rebuild a living history once it is gone. That is why the beauty of wildlife is not soft. It is urgent. Not urgent like panic. Urgent like value. The way you hold something carefully when you realize it is irreplaceable. Because Earth has done something that might be unbelievably rare. It took chemistry and turned it into birdsong. It took sunlight and turned it into coral cities. It took time and turned it into minds, instincts, families, migrations, and memory. And we are part of that story too. We are not separate from nature. We are nature with tools. We carry the same old instincts. The same hunger, fear, curiosity, love, and survival. The difference is we have power now. The kind of power that can protect or destroy at scale. So the goal is not to save the planet like it is helpless. The planet will be here in some form. The real goal is to protect the living world. To protect the fragile miracle of biodiversity. To protect the one place we know for sure is alive. Because if Earth is one of a kind, then every species matters more than we can easily measure. And even if Earth is not one of a kind, even if life is everywhere, it still does not make this life disposable. This wildlife is here. Now, in our lifetime. So watch it like it matters, because it does. Watch the elegance in a wing beat. Watch the confidence in a creature that belongs exactly where it is. Watch the wildness that refuses to be controlled, and let that do something to you. Let it remind you that beauty is not just decoration. It is evidence. Evidence that life can flourish. Evidence that the world is more than human problems. Evidence that we are living inside something rare. Until proven otherwise, Earth is the one confirmed miracle. A living planet. A world full of creatures that did not ask to be born, but learned to survive anyway. A planet that turned chaos into ecosystems, and ecosystems into beauty. And the least we can do is notice. The second least we can do is respect it. And the best thing we can do is protect it. Because if this is one of a kind, it is worth everything.
This ends now. Let the storm come.
Most people think of weather as background noise. Something you check in the morning, complain about, and forget. But extreme weather is the planet reminding us who is in charge. Nature does not negotiate. Nature does not care about your schedule. And when the conditions line up, the sky can turn into raw power. This is the story of extreme weather. Not as fear, but as awe. Because when you understand what you are seeing, it becomes even more beautiful. Start with the simplest kind of power. Wind. You cannot see it, but you can watch it move the world. A breeze can cool your skin, but a storm can shove oceans, bend trees, and erase the shape of a coastline. A hurricane is not just a big storm. It is a heat engine. Warm ocean water evaporates, rises, and releases energy as it condenses, feeding the system again and again like a giant spinning battery. From above, hurricanes look almost artistic. Perfect spirals. Cloud bands like brushstrokes. But inside that beauty is force. The kind that can lift roofs, flood cities, and turn roads into rivers. Then there are tornadoes. Tornadoes feel like the universe flexing for no reason. A rotating column of air drops from the sky like a drill, and suddenly the world is being rearranged in seconds. What makes tornadoes so terrifying is how focused they are. A hurricane is huge and loud and arrives with warning. A tornado can be a narrow path of chaos that hits one neighborhood and misses the next street completely. Lightning is a different kind of power. It is not wind. It is not water. It is the sky trying to balance an electric argument. Storm clouds build charge like a giant battery. And when the difference becomes too great, the air breaks. A lightning bolt rips through the atmosphere, and for a brief moment, the world is brighter than daylight. Lightning is beautiful because it is instant. You see it, and your brain barely has time to react. Then the thunder arrives like a delayed reminder that the sound is the shadow of the light. Now look at water. Water is gentle in a glass. But in nature, water is a sculptor with infinite patience and sudden rage. Floods are not just rain. Floods are the sky refusing to stop. Rivers swell, the ground gives up, and entire landscapes turn into moving sheets of power. And it is not always a single storm that causes it. Sometimes it is repeated rain, day after day, building pressure until the smallest creek becomes a monster. Sometimes it is a wall of rain that drops so fast the city cannot breathe. There are storms that look like they are poured from a bucket. Rain so heavy it becomes a curtain. Cars crawl, streetlights blur, and the sound becomes the whole world. Then there is snow, which feels peaceful until it becomes extreme. Blizzards can erase distance. The wind lifts snow into the air until the horizon disappears and the world becomes a white tunnel. Extreme cold does something strange to everything. It makes metal shrink. It makes breath visible. It turns ordinary life into a survival challenge built out of minutes. But even in blizzards, there is beauty. Snow swirling under streetlights looks like a galaxy. Ice crystals glitter like broken stars. Heat is another form of extreme weather that people underestimate. Because heat does not look dramatic the way storms do. It is invisible pressure on the body, the land, the grid, and the air itself. Heat waves can warp the world in slow motion. The air shimmers, the ground cracks, forests dry out, and the smallest spark becomes a problem. It is quiet power, the kind you notice only when it has already changed things. And that leads to fire. Wildfires are not just flames. They are weather. When fires get large enough, they create their own winds. Pull in air like a living thing, feeding themselves. Smoke forms towering columns, turning daylight into orange twilight. Fire is terrifying, but also hypnotic. The movement, the glow, the way it eats the landscape with a kind of purpose. It reminds you that the planet has reset buttons built into the ecosystem, and sometimes those buttons get pressed. Now step back and notice the pattern. Extreme weather is rarely one element. It is systems colliding. Wind plus water, heat plus dryness, cold plus moisture, ocean currents and pressure zones, mountains shaping storms, cities trapping heat. Everything is connected like gears in a machine you can feel but never fully control. That is why nature power is the perfect phrase. Because nature is not performing, it is operating. The atmosphere is a living ocean of air. The planet is constantly balancing energy between equator and poles, ocean and sky, day and night. Storms are not glitches. They are the system doing its job, just sometimes doing it at maximum volume. There is also something deeply human about watching extreme weather. It scares us, but it also pulls us in, because it is real. A hurricane does not check your status. It is honest. It is bigger than ego. A storm does not care who you are. Lightning does not ask permission. And maybe that is why it feels so powerful to watch. In a world full of opinions, extreme weather is pure fact. You either respect it or you learn the lesson the hard way. And every time you watch it, you are seeing the planet alive. Not as scenery, as power. War is often sold like a storm. Sudden, unavoidable, a force of nature. But war is not weather. War is a machine. It has inputs, outputs, fuel and maintenance. It runs on fear and pride, money and momentum. It runs because it can produce results quickly, even if the consequences last for generations. And if you want to understand why war keeps returning, you do not start with the battlefield. You start with the system behind it. Chapter 1. The shortcut war. Keep showing up because it feels like a shortcut. Diplomacy is slow. Negotiation is frustrating. Compromise looks like weakness. But war can take territory, resources, and attention in one move. It can redraw maps, control trade routes, dominate headlines, and force decisions. Even when war fails, it still shifts the world. It still consumes the calendar. It still becomes the story everyone must respond to. That is why it is tempting. Not because it is good, because it is fast. Chapter 2. Fear is fuel. The first fuel of the war machine is fear. Fear makes people accept things they would normally reject. Fear makes the unthinkable feel necessary. Fear makes later feel like too late. Fear does something else. It simplifies the world. Complex conflicts become simple. Two sides. One threat. One solution. And once people believe they are in danger, they will tolerate almost anything in the name of safety. That is one reason war returns so easily. Fear is renewable. Chapter 3. Pride turns fear into fire. Fear alone does not always start wars. Pride finishes the job. Pride says we cannot back down. Pride says we cannot lose face. Pride says we must respond, not because it is wise, but because it is expected. Pride turns nations into identities, and identities do not like compromise. When pride is on the line, a small incident can become a big moment. A spark becomes a symbol becomes a demand becomes a deadline, and deadlines are the heartbeat of war. Chapter 4. Propaganda is the control panel. Then comes the control panel. Propaganda. Propaganda is not always posters and speeches. Sometimes it is what is left out. Sometimes it is repetition. Sometimes it is the same story told so many times that it becomes the only story people can see. Propaganda does three things. First, it makes the enemy feel less human. Second, it makes sacrifice feel noble. Third, it makes doubt feel like betrayal. When those three are active, the machine runs smoothly. People will fight for ideas they did not choose because they believe the idea chose them. And once the story becomes sacred, facts become optional. Chapter 5. The logistics you never see. If war were only explosions, most wars would end quickly. But war is not mostly explosions. War is logistics. Fuel, food, medicine, spare parts, batteries, boots, tires, radios, trucks, ships, planes, routes, warehouses, schedules, repairs. The modern war machine is built on supply chains. A jet is not a jet. It is a flying demand for maintenance. A tank is not a tank. It is a rolling appetite for fuel and parts. A soldier is not just a soldier. A soldier is a network of training, transport, support, and resupply. And this is where the machine becomes hard to stop. Because once a system is moving, stopping it means admitting waste. And humans hate admitting waste. Chapter 6. Money and momentum. War is expensive in money, but it is also expensive in momentum. When huge systems spin up, they create pressure to justify themselves. Budgets get locked in, contracts get signed, factories get busy, careers get built. Then the war machine starts producing its own gravity. Even people who hate war can get trapped inside it, because they inherit it already in motion. And when the machine is moving, every decision is made under urgency. Urgency is a persuasive drug. It convinces leaders they do not have time to be careful. Chapter 7. The media engine. Now add modern media. War does not just happen on the ground. It happens on screens. Footage becomes narrative. Narrative becomes emotion. Emotion becomes pressure. Pressure becomes policy. War is a content machine, and that is a dangerous thing. Because content rewards intensity. Nuance does not go viral. Anger travels faster. Fear travels fastest. And when a conflict becomes a constant stream, people stop asking what it costs. They start asking who is winning. That is the point where war becomes entertainment by accident. Chapter 8. The human cost that never fits in headlines. The machine does not pay the price. People do. The people who start wars rarely fight them. The people who fight them rarely wanted them. And the cost is not just the moment of conflict. The cost is what comes after. Trauma that does not show up in a uniform. Families that never return to normal. Cities that need years, sometimes decades, to rebuild. And even when the rebuilding happens, the memory stays. The war machine can turn on quickly, but turning it off is slow. Chapter 9. The bill comes due. War borrows from the future. It spends stability. It spends trust. It spends generations. Children inherit stories they did not write. They inherit borders they did not draw. They inherit consequences they did not vote for. That is why the end of a war is rarely the end. It is often just the end of one phase. Because war changes people. It trains minds for suspicion. It teaches that force works. And once a society learns that lesson, it can take a long time to unlearn it. Chapter 10. Why peace is harder. War is a decision you can make fast. Peace is a system you must maintain. Peace requires patience when you feel angry. It requires restraint when you feel threatened. It requires leaders who can absorb criticism without converting it into revenge. Peace requires institutions that people trust. It requires communication that does not turn every disagreement into a crisis. And peace has a problem that war does not. Peace is quiet. Peace does not always look heroic. Peace looks like meetings. Peace looks like compromise. Peace looks like people choosing not to escalate even when they could. That is why peace is harder than war. Not because peace is weak, because peace demands control. Chapter 11. The exit ramp. If war is a machine, then it can be slowed. Not easily, not perfectly, but intentionally. You slow it by reducing fear, by refusing dehumanization, by demanding evidence when narratives get too clean. You slow it by paying attention to incentives. Who benefits from escalation? Who profits from urgency? Who gets power from panic? You slow it by remembering the hidden truth. Most people do not want war. They want safety. They want dignity. They want a future. And when enough people insist on that future, the machine loses a little power. Closing war will always try to return, because it offers speed. It offers certainty. It offers a simple story. But the bill is never simple, and it is never paid by the people who sold the story. If we want fewer wars, we have to stop treating war like weather, and start recognizing it for what it is, a machine. And machines do not stop themselves. Look up at the night sky long enough, and something weird happens. Your problems do not disappear, but they shrink. Not because they do not matter, but because the universe is so much bigger than the story you were stuck inside. The beauty of the universe is not just that it is pretty. It is that it is alive with patterns, motion, and time on a scale our brains were never designed to hold. Start with the simplest miracle. Light. The light from a star is a message that can travel for hundreds, thousands, even millions of years before it touches your eyes. That means when you look up, you are not seeing the sky as it is. You are seeing the sky as it was. You are literally looking into history. Some stars you see have already changed, and some are gone. But their light is still crossing the dark, still arriving, still finishing a journey that began before humans ever built cities or wrote stories. And then there is the silence between the stars. Space looks empty, but it is filled with dust, with gas, with invisible fields, with particles that pass through you every second, like the universe is breathing through your body. You are not separate from it. You are inside it. Now zoom out. Our planet is one small world orbiting an ordinary star. That sounds like it should make life feel small, but it does the opposite. Because on this small rock, the universe learned how to see itself. You are made of atoms that were forged in ancient stars. Long before the Earth formed, stars lived and died, and in their final moments they created heavier elements, then scattered them into space. Those elements became new stars, new planets, and eventually, you. You are not just in the universe. You are from it. Beauty is also in the shapes. Galaxies spiral like pinwheels. Nebulae bloom like cosmic flowers. Rings of dust form around newborn stars. Worlds gather into systems. Systems gather into galaxies. Galaxies gather into clusters. And clusters trace filaments like a web across the cosmos. Even chaos has structure. Gravity is the sculptor, pulling matter into curves and storms and glowing oceans of gas. The universe looks wild, but it is held together by rules that never stop working. And time. Time is part of the beauty too. The universe is not a painting. It is a movie. Stars ignite, expand, fade, explode. New stars form from old ashes. Planets collide. Comets swing by like visitors. Everything is moving, always, even if it looks still. Somewhere out there, right now, a star is being born. A cloud collapses, heat rises, pressure climbs, and suddenly a new light turns on in the dark. Somewhere else, a star is dying, releasing one final burst that can outshine an entire galaxy for a moment. And on our own world, under that same sky, you have this tiny window of consciousness. A few decades where you can look up and feel awe. A few decades where you can say, I am here, and I can understand a little of what this is. That awe is not weakness. It is strength. It reminds you that life is rare and precious, that your time matters, that kindness matters, that curiosity matters. Because in a universe this vast, the fact that you can love and learn and create it all is unbelievable. So the next time you feel trapped in noise, try this. Step outside, find a patch of darkness, let your eyes adjust, and look up. Somewhere in that glittering field is the light of a star older than the earth. Somewhere is a world you will never touch. Somewhere is a story still unfolding without you. Yet, here you are, a creature made of stardust, standing on a spinning planet, watching ancient light arrive. That is the beauty of the universe. Not just that it exists, but that you get to witness it. Tonight we are taking spicy instant ramen and turning it into 3 restaurant-level bowls in under 10 minutes, using the same pack of noodles as the base. If you eat spicy ramen plain, you are missing the best part. The noodles are only the canvas. The upgrade is the sauce, the topping, and the texture. First rule, cook the noodles right. Boil the noodles until they are springy, not mushy, then drain them, but save a few spoonfuls of the noodle water. That starchy water is your magic thickener. Now upgrade number 1, the creamy swirl. In a bowl, mix the seasoning packet with 1 spoon of mayonnaise or a spoon of plain yogurt, then add a splash of hot noodle water and stir until it turns glossy and smooth. Add your drained noodles and toss fast. The sauce clings and turns the spicy heat into a rich, creamy coating instead of a dry burn. Top it with a soft boiled egg if you have one, or crack an egg into the hot noodles and cover for a minute so it gently sets. Finish with green onions if you have them, and you just made spicy ramen feel expensive. Upgrade number 2 is the nutty fire bowl. This one tastes like a spicy peanut noodle situation you would pay for at a shop. In a bowl, mix a spoon of peanut butter with the seasoning packet. Add a splash of soy sauce if you have it, a tiny bit of honey or sugar if you want balance, then loosen it with a few spoons of hot noodle water. Toss in the noodles until they turn shiny and thick. If it looks too heavy, add a little more noodle water and keep stirring until it becomes silky. Now the secret move. Add a squeeze of lime or a tiny splash of vinegar right at the end. That little bit of acid makes the whole bowl pop, and it keeps the spice from feeling flat. Top this one with crunchy peanuts, sesame seeds, or crushed crackers if that is what you have. Anything crunchy turns instant noodles into a real dish. Upgrade number 3 is the crunchy garlic chili bowl. This is the one that gets people to comment because it sounds dramatic and looks insane on camera. In a small pan, heat a little oil or butter, then add minced garlic or garlic powder and let it get fragrant. Add chili flakes if you have them, then turn the heat off. Pour that hot garlic oil over the seasoning packet in your bowl and stir. The aroma hits instantly and it smells like you are cooking for real. Toss the noodles in and then build the crunch. Add crispy onions, crushed ramen crumbs, crushed chips, or toasted breadcrumbs. You want that crackle on top so every bite has texture. Now do the final glow up for any of the bowls. Add a slice of cheese on the side and let it melt into the noodles, or stir in a splash of milk to make it even smoother. If you like it extra spicy, add a tiny drizzle of chili oil, not a whole flood. Quick pro tip. If the ramen is too spicy, do not just add more water. Add fat, like mayo, cheese, or a little butter, and add acid, like lime, because that changes how the heat feels. And if it is not spicy enough, add a pinch of chili flakes, a dot of hot sauce, or black pepper. Small changes, big results. 3 bowls, 1 ramen pack, and you just leveled up instant noodles into something you would actually crave. Comment which upgrade you would try first. Creamy swirl, nutty fire, or crunchy garlic chili.
I am the peacetime president. Everybody knows it. Total peace, the best peace. And yes, I took the Nobel Peace Prize, not just one, all of them. They called me and said, please take it. Then I wake up from my nap and I am like, okay, new plan. We are going to fix the world right now. First, we hold emergency snack talks, very serious. Juice boxes for everyone, tremendous diplomacy. Next, we place a tariff on bedtime. Nobody sleeps until they agree. This is high-level strategy. Then we deploy the Binky Brigade. They arrive fast, they calm everything down, very powerful. And if anybody complains, I will tweet with my tiny hands. Strongest tweet you have ever seen. Now bring me bacon, for peace.
Last night I had the strangest dream. I was human for one day, and I took it way too seriously. First thing I did was cook bacon for myself. Not for my owner, not to be polite. For me. Then I made coffee, took one sip, and my legs turned into pure zoomies. I ran through the house like I just unlocked turbo mode. After that, I became the security guard. I walked around with a clipboard, checking doors, judging everyone, and protecting the snacks. And when my shift ended, I called a taxi. The robot vacuum showed up, and I rode it into the sunrise like a tiny CEO. Then I woke up. Still a dog, still adorable, still waiting for bacon.
Cosplay is not a costume, it is a transformation. Watch the details, the eyes, the wig, the silhouette. One iconic piece sells the whole look: mask, blade, cape, crown. Confidence is part of the build. Wear it like it belongs. When the beat drops, show your best detail. Then hit one perfect pose. Cosplay is art you can walk in. Now drop your next character in the comments. Cosplay is not just a costume. It is a transformation you can feel. Every look you see here started as an idea. Then it became fabric, foam, and courage. Some people cosplay for the craft. Some people cosplay for the character. But everybody cosplays for the moment. That second where you recognize them instantly. Watch the details. The eyes, the wig shape, the silhouette. A clean pose can sell a whole build, even before you notice the armor. The best cosplay is not expensive. It is intentional. One iconic piece can carry everything. A mask, a blade, a cape, a crown. This is your reminder that confidence is a prop too. Wear it like it belongs. Cosplay is art you can walk in. And today, the gallery is moving. Some looks are bright and heroic. Some looks are dark and dangerous. Some are cute and chaotic. Some are pure main character energy. You can see the hours in the seams. You can see the patience in the paint. You can see the love in the tiny choices. The stitch that nobody notices except you. And then there is the entrance. The turn, the pause, the stare. That is the whole point. To become the vibe, not just the outfit. Cosplay is also community. Strangers become friends in seconds. You nod at a character you both know, and somehow that feels like home. Every fandom has its legends, and every con has its stars. But the real flex is showing up anyway, even if your build is not perfect yet. Because every great cosplay has a first version, then a better version, then a final boss version. This montage is proof. Progress looks good on everybody. You do not need permission to create. You just need a reason to start. If you are watching this, you are already in it. You are one idea away from your next look. So pick a character people recognize fast. Then nail one detail like your life depends on it. Do the simple pieces clean. Fit, shape, and texture matter more than complexity. Film it like a reveal. Close-ups first, then the full body shot. Give the camera one strong pose, then one motion shot for the energy. Let the soundtrack do the lifting. Let the montage do the talking. And when the beat hits, show your best detail. Mask, weapon, eyes, makeup, cape, whatever your power is. Cosplay is not escape. It is expression. It is you, turned up, on purpose. And that is always worth filming. Drop your next character in the comments. Most people think safety is about big dangers, but the stuff that quietly gets people is the everyday routine. Number 7. Public phone charging stations. They look harmless at the airport or the mall, but a bad port can be used to pull data or push malware. Use your own charger and a wall outlet, or a charge-only cable. Number 6. Reusing the same water bottle for days. It feels clean because it is just water, but bacteria grows fast in warm bottles and on mouthpieces. Wash it daily and let it fully dry. Number 5. Leaving a candle unattended for a minute. People do it while cooking or taking a quick shower. That minute is how a lot of house fires start. If you leave the room, blow it out. Number 4. Clicking unsubscribe in random emails. It feels like the safe move. But some links are traps that confirm your email is real. Instead, mark it as spam or block the sender. Number 3. Using the same password with a tiny change.